former player and coach at the University of Georgia.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. I know y'all are getting antsy, and I'm the last one. Charlie Winslette. I can tell you a lot of stories about Charlie, but first of all, Coach Broadway, you talking about Coach Payton, the road name for him. I had a bathroom name for me at Georgia, so, thought that was pretty good. And all these people look like they've retired and nobody's gotten fired. So, heck, Charlie, you told me all the things you wanted me to say, but I might not say them. But first of all, I'd like to recognize your wife, Christine. She's been with him for 39 years, and she's traveled from the East Coast to the West Coast to North Georgia to South Georgia. God bless you. That's all I can say. And his mother Louise is here, and his brother Keith, and his wife Angela. His children Matt, Jeff, and Brad. Matt and his wife Jennifer have a young son, Transom, that's 3 months old. And then Jeff and Carol Ann, his other son, has a granddaughter, Heidi. And I'd like for all of them to stand up, please, because y'all have moved with him as well. Charlie told me there were 3 people that made an influence in his life, and that was his father, Fred, who is no longer with him. And I know that is a loss. And Coach Jim Watley, who was the baseball coach at Georgia. And Coach Watley, Charlie and I were at Georgia together. He was a little older than I was, but we were there at the same time, and Coach Watley was the baseball coach. And Charlie is a heck of an athlete. Now, I mean, you might not believe it, but I'm telling you, Charles Winslette is an unbelievable athlete. I played tennis with him. He'll wear your ass out. You play golf with him, he'll wear you out. I mean, he is a tremendous athlete, and I sincerely mean that. And he was a baseball player at Georgia. And one day he's designated hitter, and he was all excited. Coach Watley put him in. He hit a home run. And back at Georgia, back in those days, we had the outfield. They had kudzu everywhere. So Charlie runs around the bases and touches all of them, comes in the dugout, and he's grinning like a mule eating briars. And Coach Watley says, "What you so proud about?" You know, he just kind of shrugged his shoulders. Coach had a home run. He says, "Who you think's gonna get that ball? Get your ass up there and get that ball out of the kudzu." Hits a home run, has to go out and find the baseball out in the kudzu. And then probably his biggest mentor in athletics was Coach Al Reeves. And Coach Reeves, if you're here today, you've meant a lot to Charlie, meant a lot to a lot of us, and appreciate it. If there's any coaches or players here today that have played for Charlie and are here with Charlie, the whole family, would y'all all stand one more time, please, everybody. Charlie was a head football coach for 34 years. His record was 260 wins, 134 losses, and 3 ties. He won 2 state championships, West Rome and Green Talifer. West Rome, he went 11 games straight without being scored on. I think it was a record, set a national record. 2 runner-up state champions, one in Tifton, Georgia, which is close to my home, and then Green Talifer as well. He had 10 region championships. He was 3 times AJC Coach of the Year, 2 times Macon Coach of the Year, 3 times Atlanta Touchdown Coach of the Year, 3 times Anderson Independent, 2 times Athens Banner Herald, and 1 time the Savannah Morning News. Charles was head football coach at probably 8 different schools, and people give him a hard time because he traveled around a little bit. But, you know, in this business, you do what you got to do. You got to make it work, and you just do what you got to do. Charlie was an assistant coach at Cedar Shoals when I was at Georgia, and Coach Waters hadn't died yet, but John Waters was the head football coach and made an impact in Charles's life. And Charlie went to Fayette County in 1976, and I reacquainted with Charlie when I was an assistant coach at the University of South Carolina in '78. And I was recruiting a linebacker by the name of Will Forts. It was a great player for Charlie, and Will Forts committed me 100 times, and Charlie said, "Oh, he's coming to Georgia. He's coming to South Carolina. He's coming to South Carolina." All of a sudden, Georgia brings in this doctor that's a heart surgeon, and Will's mama had to have heart surgery, and next thing I knew, he was told that his mom might not make it off the table if he didn't go to Georgia. And And Charlie just looked at me and shrugged. Hey, what do you do? I mean, but Fayette County had, I think, 14 losing seasons before Charlie went there in 1976. His first year he went 8-1. The next year he went 8-2. Had a lot of great players. And Charlie has been around a long, long time. And probably, if you watch him play offensively, he was a lot like my former boss, Coach Dooley. It wasn't very exciting. I mean, you weren't going to see a whole lot of passes thrown. When Coach Dooley recruited me at Georgia, said we were going to throw the football. It's kind of like Charlie, but we're going to throw the football. But he didn't tell me it was warm-ups and halftime. That's the only time we threw it. And that's the same thing with Charles. I mean, he was going to defense. He was going to play defense. It might be 3-0 or 6-0, but he was going to win most of the time. I can't tell you how many times I've been around Charles. And Charlie is, he's a great friend. I talk to him all the time. I've seen him. He's been a big impact in my life. And like a lot of you, I can't tell you from my perspective what coaches have meant in my life and what you've meant to me for where I was at and what I did, but also what you've meant to young people in the state. Not just Charles Winslette, but all you men and women that have spent your time invested in young people. And I hope and pray that we get the same caliber of coaches coming out of schools today that invest in young people like you have. And that's why I'm thrilled and pleased to be able to stand here today and induct and be a part of Charles Winslette going into the Hall of Fame, and he deserves it. Thank you, Charlie.